You're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide, by the way. Oh, hey, there's a thing about one of Trump's buddies, his surrogate son and this dude, whom Noam Chomsky apparently was hanging out with. That's kind of fucked up. And when asked about it, he said, and I quote, "None of your business." What? And who hung out with Jeffrey Epstein is everybody's fucking business. Especially if you're a public figure making public criticisms and having an impact on the electorate the way Chomsky does. Fucking hell. But here's Greg Kelly. He's still got some questions. There's still some mysteries. What happened? This Epstein guy or whatever. How could it be that he gets caught and finally arrested and then he's killed in a cell when a guy he used to party with is president? That's hinky. Wait, see that again? Is it just me? The audio's... Yeah. Maybe it's the video. Maybe they posted this and there's no audio. Hold on one second. I'm going to reload the page. Give me a second. Oh, here we go.
Remember him? Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, friend of Trump's. I've seen that guy party with him.
Still did not kill himself.
Well, I mean, obviously... cause of death doesn't change.
He is still alive, my strong suspicion.
Oh, he's still... okay, so he thinks... Greg Kelly is saying he believes the idea that they, rip the homeless man who looks vaguely like Jeffrey Epstein and that he escaped and blah, blah, blah.
Yes, just that he is alive and well somewhere. That his death was...
Well, he could be alive somewhere. He's not well. Anybody who behaved like he did is not well.
Faked. Try looking for the pictures of his body. All right, they actually are findable on the internet. Once
we know.
You find them, this is not the picture. You'll see somebody who is not dead.
Okay. Well, they're certainly trying to resuscitate him there. It seems like they're... Why? Because he's moving? Because they're doing compressions on him, dum-dum? Is that what you're saying?
Jeffrey Epstein, quick review, 2008, convicted of all kinds of sex crimes, procuring erotic massages from children.
Yeah, and Trump was still hanging out with him.
Very serious stuff. I know it. You know it.
Trump knows it.
How is it that Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton and all those important, very influential people somehow never really picked up on this, huh?
No, some of them did. Some of them stopped hanging out with him once he got busted, and other ones continued to hang out with him. And you can tell who's who and based on their behavior. When he's like palling around and he's being a philanthropist and he's spending money on campaigns and people are finding themselves glad handing with him, and then he gets busted and they're like, no, fuck that guy. I don't care how much money he has.
Were they charmed by this guy?
Would you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please state your full name?
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
What was the crime of which you were convicted?
Two counts, one soliciting prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution.
Wow, Jeffrey Epstein in his own words, speaking.
And the video's from 2012.
Heard the sound of his voice before?
Anybody who's seen that video has. I mean, Trump has. Yeah, I mean, that's not a question you could actually ask Trump because, yeah, as a matter of fact, Trump told Epstein a joke that made Epstein blush.
Did he say he lived at 6100 something Boulevard?
I don't know. It's your fucking show, asshole. Didn't you review the clip before they played it on your goddamn show? Why am I doing your homework for you?
It was the only house on that little private island. That's why the billionaires and the leaders of the world love going to it. Complete seclusion. You know, the crew that he hung with, they knew this stuff about him.
The crew that he hung with. Hold on one second. Let's see. The crew that he hung with. You don't say. There was a crew that he hung with. Uh-huh. Look at Jeffrey Epstein getting mildly embarrassed by what Trump told him.
And they continued to hang out with him. Bill Gates, master of the universe. Why were they getting together? Were they talking about climate change? Were they talking about computer software?
I don't give a fuck. Fuck him. Fuck both of them. I don't care.
I saw this guy actually with my own eyes once at a
Really? So you hung out with him. Well, I guess we're breaking some news.
Broadway show.
You were at a Broadway. So you went as his date? This is really news.
And I knew in 2009 what this guy had done.
Because it had just happened a year before?
And I gave him a dirty look. I'm like, what
You did? Greg, you give everyone a dirty look. You were born with that look.
the heck are you doing here? Now, if I knew that, you know that.
And then there's some guy who looks vaguely like Jeffrey Epstein, who ironically was murdered, and his corpse was used to cover for Epstein's escape years later. And all they could think of when they were pretending to try and resuscitate him as they took his body out was, fuck, Greg Kelly gave me such shit because I looked like Jeffrey Epstein. I never realized it would end up that.
How is it that the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, a guy by the name of William Burns, did not know the deal with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, the theory is that he didn't know it was that Jeffrey Epstein, which is fucked up.
It is utterly impossible to think that he did not know. That is William Burns. He is currently the director at CIA, and the Wall Street Journal revealed today the following. They first met in Washington, and then Mr. Burns visited Epstein's townhouse in Manhattan.
Townhouse. Again, townhouse, that's where Dershowitz got his massage. That's the $70 million property that cost him $1.
Now, this happened a few years ago, back when he was the...
Also, by the way, of all the people that have come out on this list, and if Burns is engaged with this fucker, then fuck him and off he goes. But the idea that this guy at the time would try to get close to a man who clearly had compromat at his place that they eventually either got a hold of or they became aware of the contents. The idea that anybody from the CIA would try to get into this motherfucker's house is not surprising at all.
Deputy Secretary...
And by the way, he may have accomplished something in that process, which led him to being the CIA director.
...of State. That's a very big job. Next, please, these meetings. The director did not know anything about him. This is what the CIA is saying now.
Well, that's because he wasn't in the CIA. He was the Secretary of State's office.
The director did not know anything about him. Epstein just offered general advice on transition to the private sector. You know, tips on his resume, right? Just shine your...
Again, I gotta say this sounds more like, and like I said, if this dude was hanging out with Epstein, fuck him, out he goes. But it reeks of them trying to use a person of influence to get Epstein to like give up what he's got, because he was clearly in the blackmail business.
Shoes and have a firm handshake as you transition to
Pompeo was head of the CIA when Epstein died.
the private sector. These denials stink, and everybody knows it. The number 2 man at the Central Intelligence Agency. You know how many people work there? Yeah, close to 80,000 or so people. And he's the number 2 guy, and he could not figure it out that this...
Or he can't admit that he knew because the purpose was to gather intel, and it was effectively an undercover op, which is entirely possible.
Was a convicted sex offender. Now, look, there is a time and a place for redemption, and people can come back from horrible crimes, but...
You mean like the son of a former police commissioner who was charged with sexual assault, or was about to be charged with sexual assault, and then because his dad was commissioner of the police, he managed to skirt the... You mean like that?
I had hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank, you know? Good luck. And Epstein showed no signs whatsoever of remorse or regret. You saw that in the clip we showed a little while ago.
No, I didn't. I saw a man doing a deposition. He's a scumbag. He didn't show anything.
It's interesting. The Deputy Secretary of State, whether
apparently managed to get Compromat out of Epstein and got his way up to the director's chair at CIA.
it's this guy or Tony Blinken, they love lowlifes. Hunter Biden could summon the Deputy Secretary of State, the #2 man, the #2 diplomat in America.
Oh, I see. So because that guy went to Epstein, this is the similarity. Blinken and Hunter, that's the tie. So the idea is that you're supposed to look at Hunter Biden's face and Epstein's face and see a similarity. And therefore, yeah, that's nice fucked up bait and switch there, Greg.
America. Tony Blinken with, well, an email. He sure liked to send emails and text messages from Hunter Biden to Anthony Blinken. Have a few minutes next week to grab a cup of coffee. I know you are impossibly busy, yeah, on America's time, but would like to get your advice on a couple of things. This is back when Tony Blinken was the #2 man at the State Department. I will drop everything in my impossibly busy schedule to absolutely meet with Hunter Biden.
Yeah, by the way, that's about the time when Hunter Biden turned down a business partnership with a Chinese company because they refused to open a US-based subsidiary. That he went to Blinken, it's clear, and said, "This look hinky to you?" And then he went, "Yeah, this is fucked up. This is Chinese CCP bullshit, and they're never going to set up a business over here, and it'll come back to bite you in the ass on Farah." And he went, "Okay," and it never happened. That's why all the deals they talk about never happened. The Chinese tried multiple times, it's clear, to try and wiggle their way into his business, especially closer to the end of the term. But didn't work.
This stinks. I thought the State Department was supposed to manage, I don't know, world affairs.
They do, but these guys also have coffee.
America's reputation.
Yeah, that would be part of it. It's the vice president's son at that point, who's like, "I got some questions for you. Is this fucked up? What do you hear about this that you can tell me?"
No, it's the swamp.
The swamp. It's all swampy. Everybody's in the swamp. Any established organization that existed before Trump or after Trump is clearly some sort of deep state cabal.
They have other agendas, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. Like keeping the entire country afloat, even though your favorite president tried to knife the tires on the whole goddamn country.
Something about Jeffrey Epstein that is totally fascinating in my book. Epstein
misspelled his own name on the board. That looks like it says Epstein.
Was a high school teacher at a prestigious prep school here in New York City. It's called the Dalton School. And this is all the way back in the 1970s. He was a math and science teacher at the Dalton School, okay?
Yeah, creeps like that will often try to weasel their way in. Who was it that got him the gig?
Epstein did not have a college degree. Generally speaking, you need those to, be a teacher, to get a teaching certificate. And here's where it gets really weird. The man who hired him at the Dalton School, his name is Donald Barr. He is the late father of William Barr, the Attorney General. Yes.
Weird. Yeah. The guy that, and Trump didn't know this? You're trying to tell me that the CIA guy who was a deputy at the State Department, after 2 meetings with Epstein, went, "Oh, that Epstein, fuck this, I'm out." That he did. It is absurd that he could make that assertion, that he did not know who Epstein was at the time. It's impossible to believe. Meanwhile, I'm supposed to believe that Epstein dies while Trump is president, and Trump's pick at the DOJ is the guy whose father gave Epstein his first job at a high school. Trump couldn't have known that. But what do you expect him to do? Look it up?
That guy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that Trump hired that guy and there's no fucking way he didn't know. And Trump used to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein, and then he hires the son of the guy who gave Epstein his first fucking job at a high school. That's crazy. I gotta say, Greg, it sounds like you're starting to hoist yourself on your own petard there, dummy.
I'm not implying there's anything.
No, of course not. You're implying that Anthony Blinken and Hunter Biden are engaged in criminal activity, but the dude that Trump hired to run the Justice Department under him just happens to be the son of the guy who gave Epstein his first job at a fucking high school. And Trump used to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein back in the day. You know, it's interesting you bring that up, Greg, because it's making me want to look some shit up all of a sudden. You know, when you find yourself wanting to look stuff up. Okay, Barr's father, Epstein. Let's do that. The secret connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Bragg Bill Barr was in charge. Okay, so we'll get to that one. William Barr should recuse himself. Dealt in the school Epstein Barr problem. Easily mentioned on brotherly. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is. I'm gonna drag this over here, and then go. Let's see. William Barr is good Donald Trump and bad Donald Trump. That a former John James did do. Very strong evidence. Okay. Anyways, that's gonna take some longer digging, I think, to find if Trump knew Donald Barr back in the day. Jeffrey Epstein bragged that Bill Barr was in charge, not Trump. The pedophile told Ehud Barak he had direct knowledge that Barr was in charge in D.C., according to a new book that also claims Steve Bannon gave Epstein advice on his PR strategy. That's actually true. Hey, there's a weird story about Ehud Barak and Jeffrey Epstein, if I may. Let's see. Let's go there. Whoops, sorry. There we go. Back over here. There we go. Yeah. This is from the Jewish Telegraph Agency. Noam Chomsky, Ehud Barak, hi. Leon Botstein and Rothschild are among the many names on Jeffrey Epstein's newly uncovered calendar. The pioneering linguist and left-wing activist Noam Chomsky, the longtime Bard College president Leon Botstein, filmmaker Woody Allen, shocker, and a former Israeli prime minister are among the Jewish names listed in a newly uncovered prime. This is the Jewish Telegraph that's putting this out, whatever. So they're particularly, I think, have got a radar up about this. People that weren't in his black book, but that magically showed up in his fucking calendar. Let's see this order. I'm going to try and find... Yeah, let's see. Hey, Rock, Woody Allen, Noam Chomsky. Well, yeah. I'm finding one thing real quick. Yeah, there's a lot of this all over, like, the Israeli Times and stuff are covering the shit out of this. Let's see. Where's the... I want to find the quote of Chomsky, which is just so fucked up. Slate. Noam Chomsky, Jeffrey Epstein. Who else met with the convicted sex offender? It's from the Times. trying to find the yeah, okay, here's the insider. Yeah, this is sorry, if you look like okay, there we go. All right. Hold on. Crap. Hold on. I got to take this, copy it, and then put it, I think, in this guy. Yeah, hold on. I'm copying something over. I want to show you guys something in a second. Paste and go. There we go. All right. Yeah, cool. Renowned academic, Noam Chomsky, told the Wall Street Journal that his meetings with Jeffrey Epstein are none of your business. That's a fucked up answer. Considering what the guy was busted for, that's gnarly. I don't get responding like that, because I'm certain that I have, in all the pictures that I've taken at comedy clubs and fucking glad-handing events and DVD signings and shit over the years, there's got to be at least one person in there that they went, do you know this person? And I went, I don't really think so. Well, here you are smiling and shaking hands with him. Yeah, that's at a comedy club in Philadelphia. I don't know who that is. Well, there, and they murdered 7 people. Like, well, I didn't know that at the time. They did it after. Well, why didn't somebody tell me what the fuck? Time to smear Noam Chomsky? I don't think it's time to, we're not smearing him. This was his response. It was found out that he met with Epstein multiple times. When asked about the connections with Jeffrey Epstein, many business leaders and bureaucrats are often tight-lipped. Not Noam Chomsky. The Wall Street Journal, in an exclusive published Sunday, said it had obtained Epstein's private calendar, which outlined numerous meetings with high-profile people, including Chomsky, the famed academic. And when they called to ask him about it, he had some choice words. First response is that it's none of your business or anyone's. Second is that I knew him and we met occasionally. All right. Chomsky is a linguist. This is a bit like when you're talking about a lawyer in, discussing how they respond to things, that he's choosing his words very carefully. Now, one of my biggest, is this too ideal? One of my biggest issues with him is the way he uses the word obviously a lot when he's challenged on any of his ideas. Where people are like, are you suggesting that this is this? He'll go, it's obviously that. And the idea is not just that he's saying, these are my beliefs, but that your belief is stupid if you don't agree with me. That's when somebody goes, obviously, in those terms, when he's being asked the way he is in a lot of these interviews. It's an ongoing thing. So he means it. He's not fucking around, but this is gnarly. He's 94. You don't have to tell me. I'm always aggravated that we seem to catch some of these scumbags way past their prime.
No, I'm not implying anything. I'm just pointing it.
I'm not implying anything. I'm just pointing it out. But it is the guy that Trump hired. Yet another guy.
Now that is totally weird, and that all of these ultra important people gravitated around.
No, it's the other way around. Epstein weaseled his way in using the money of other millionaires and billionaires that he controlled to buy his way into certain circles. Some people were there willingly. Some people there he just used them as cover. And the important distinction is how people treat the news after the fact. How far they run or how far they refuse to run is indicative.
Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and now this CIA director. That's really crazy.
He's a director, by the way.
And they like to play this video. Well, Donald Trump was associated, was friends with him as well. You got to go way back, way before any of this stuff came to light. And
no, not way before any of it came to light. Again, Bill Barr's dad got him a job at a high school. These charges were chasing him around forever. As a matter of fact, this more lines up with the timing of Trump and the Miss Teen USA accusations.
Donald Trump did finally get the vibe that this guy was no good, cut all ties with him years before he was arrested for these unspeakable crimes. He's
First of all, you've been speaking of them the entire time we've been watching this video. So they're not unspeakable. That's one of my pet peeves, this fucking unspeakable, unthinkable, unimaginable. Everything's thinkable and imaginable and speakable, dummy. You just don't. Fucking hell. Secondly, the only reason Trump distanced himself is because Epstein went after one of the daughters, one of the big wigs that went to Mar-a-Lago. He didn't give a fuck when he was doing it with the low-level guests. It was one of the big names.
almost always right. Actually, he's always right. Take
Right to hang out with that dude for 20 fucking years?
a look at this.
They're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us.
They're bringing those problems with us. You mean to us, dumb fuck?
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
The way I assumed Jeffrey Epstein was good people for 2 decades.
Remember this? And how
Yeah, of course. It's right at that time when everybody who had written those letters to him that are in his book started going, what the fuck?
the media just lost their minds. The campaign is dead on arrival. How dare this man speak the truth so boldly, so plainly? They can't handle the truth. They literally can't handle the truth.
The truth that Mexicans are just dirty, rapey people.
Truth. Crime, yes, he's talking about it coming up from Mexico.
And some of it going down to Mexico.
Those who break the law to come here are more likely to break the law once they're here.
No, they aren't. Especially if they're trying to fucking stay. The only way that statistic works is because technically they're working under the table, which is in and of itself a secondary crime. So you go, if they break the law coming across the border, they're going to break the law again. Well, that's how they'll live, because they're being paid by people under the table. That's the crime that they're most likely guilty of. It's because of their undocumented status, not, well, if they're going to cross a border, what border won't they cross? Bank robbery, terrorism.
And it happened in horrible, devastating fashion this weekend in Texas. Did you hear about this? Just north of Houston, Texas, in Cleveland, a man opened fire, killed.
With an AR-15, by the way. If he'd had a handgun, maybe these folks would have had a fighting chance, perhaps. By the way, he killed other undocumented immigrants. He was undocumented. He killed. And so the people he murdered, I guess we'll assume they were good people. Yeah?
At least 5 people in his neighborhood. He was known to kind of shoot his gun off. The neighbors didn't like it. Here's the suspect. An illegal immigrant, Francisco Oropesa, still at large. In
Texas. You're right. Texas sucks. Why can't they catch this fucker? What the fuck is wrong with Texas? Maybe they just want him at large, Greg. I think so, probably. Does he know Bill Barr?
From the United States 5 times.
So why weren't the Texas officials in that area when he was known to shoot his gun off in his yard doing it? Oh, because anybody with a gun is a good guy, I guess. They just assume. I guess the way you assume somebody is a good person is if they have an AR-15 and they randomly shoot it. I see.
5 times, and there he was, just living among us.
No, he wasn't living among us. I don't know. Maybe Greg does his show out of Texas. He was in Texas.
As for Secretary Mayorkas, he's in the thoughts and prayers category.
What can you tell us about the alleged suspect, Francisco Oropesa?
Chuck, it's a horrific crime, and I can assure you and the American people that law enforcement will deliver accountability. The case is an active one, under investigation, so I really can't comment further.
There is some question about his citizenship.
I won't comment on it because it is an active case. The tragedy that occurred.
Right. This is standard. What the fuck? If we have to try him on even terrorism charges, if he's a foreign national, and that's how they do it. If he talks about it, Mayorkas talks about it on the news, his representative, the guy's defense attorney, could argue a tainted jury pool and that he can't get a fair trial. What the fuck?
Is you described it correctly. Just absolutely horrific.
It's on him. It's on
him. That motherfucker had been here forever.
the Biden administration.
It's on the Biden administration. Are those other people? I mean, I guess technically the victims wouldn't have been in the country. He could have just killed them in Mexico, I suppose.
Their total lax attitude and approach to all of this. They
don't have a lax attitude towards all of this. And again, this is a Texas town. Local law enforcement and Customs and Border Patrol were aware of everybody involved.
They want these people coming in. I really believe that.
Do they? They not the other people, not the victims. We don't want those people to get in because they had children and they were trying to work and be productive. You let them in because you need the guy who's going to get an AR-15 while he's here because Texas doesn't give a fuck. Again, if you're going to argue that the Second Amendment is an American citizen thing and you shouldn't be able to track the sales of guns because American citizens have the right to keep and bear arms, why the fuck could this guy get one? They kept sending him back.
I want to ask you about Border Patrol because the union doesn't like you. How can you lead a group of people whose union wants you out of office?
Well, technically speaking, he gives an order to do a job and they have to do that job. They don't have to like him. Have you ever seen a cop show? You ever see how cops supposedly feel about their sergeants all the time?
Chuck, I'm incredibly proud to work with the United States Border Patrol. I have supported them vigorously since my first day in office. I will continue to do so. A tremendous source of pride. And I will tell you this.
What do you think the disconnect is? Do you think this is
They watch a lot of Fox News.
media perception? Why do you?
Yes.
Why do you think there is this a political disconnect?
Because every Republican they talk to says that the president has ordered the border open. And even though they haven't gotten orders to ignore anybody coming across, and we have not opened the border in any respect, they are assuming because of the repealing of the ending of Title 42, because it was a limited response to people coming through during COVID. And Trump used that as basically a way to stiff arm immigrants coming at all into the country. Because in the same way that he was, into grounding flights, he wants to turn America into a gated community. No more immigrants were full up now, especially if any of them are brown. So there were, he used that, and that's going to come to an end because it was a temporary thing. Title 42 was meant to be temporary. Once it ends, there's going to be more traffic, period. Right now, there's a bunch of traffic, but this is the time of the year when the traffic starts anyways. This is always the time of the year when the spike happens. And then it goes down in the summer when it's too hot, and then it goes up in the fall when it's cool again, and it's a reasonable temperature, and then it goes down in the winter. Like this... Do they pretend like every year is fucking brand new? Are we supposedly starting our calendar from scratch?
Is this a red-blue divide, just simply that you're in a Democratic administration? What do you believe it is?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Elton, in the chat. Where did this guy get the fucking gun? I get this argument about the Second Amendment coming from these folks, that Americans should have the right to keep and bear arms. Why the fuck is this guy able to buy one? Where did he buy it? Who sold it to him? Why isn't that person in trouble? What the fuck?
Chuck, I'm focused on mission. That's what I'm focused on.
Focus all you want.
Focus all you want. What I'm focused on is you. And somehow this is Hunter Biden's
Here's
fault.
where he lost the troops when he blasted his own men as racists. Remember the incident with the horse and the Haitian immigrants, right? The Haitian people trying to get here illegally. Oh, these images. What was wrong with them? Mayorkas doesn't know how to handle a horse. He doesn't know how to handle the border. He knew not what he was talking about. Everybody said, including him, that this was somehow a racist thing. He undermined his own men and falsely accused them of the worst possible thing.
In the midst of meeting these challenges, we, our entire nation, saw horrifying images that do not reflect who we are, who we aspire to be, or the integrity and values of our truly heroic personnel in the Department of Homeland Security. We know that those images painfully conjured up the worst elements of our nation's ongoing.
Yeah, because a few people were using their reins to whip people. That's he's referring to it specifically. These motherfuckers, these are the same. Greg Kelly does this all the time where, like, if you castigate this all can be summed up in that whole like Hillary Clinton basket of deplorables thing, where she was going, there's obviously a group of people who are just fucking assholes. Those are the deplorables. There's this basket of deplorables. But everybody else you can actually talk to, even if they're not full-on extremists like this, or they even edge towards that, you could still have a conversation with them. She was making the distinction. She was trying to be mitigatory with that. And what did they do? They took she thinks you're all deplorable. Biden talking about MAGA versus, real conservatives. It's not that he's trying to mitigate the difference. Democrats have been trying to do this for a few years. They try to message this. There's extremists, but the majority of Republicans and conservatives we can have a conversation with. And any attempt to try to do that, the people who support MAGA and Trump world have to use the entire thing as a cudgel. They have to say what they mean when, deplorables is all of you guys. What they mean that MAGA is evil is all Republicans. All 74 million people who voted for Trump are evil and blah, blah, blah. That's the sales pitch. And this is the same shit. He could say that like people at Customs and Border Patrol and the Department of Homeland Security, which they covered in this whole speech, not just this little sliver he's putting up, were like, people saw images of people acting inappropriately and they were horrified by it because it was terrible looking and conjured a lot of terrible images. And we're better than that.
Against systemic racism.
What was he talking about? They were trying to keep the illegals out of the country.
No. They had every opportunity to keep them out. It was the striking them with their reins as whips that was the sticking point. That's what it was, especially the guy who was bringing water to people.
They weren't rounding people up. They weren't catching people. I mean,
yeah, that guy was like, I'm a Postmates delivery guy.
I actually thought this was actually kind of cool. These guys were totally professional. They tried to get him in trouble, the horsemen, but they did nothing wrong. And now they're writing them up for using bad language or not having their shoes shined. I mean, really petty stuff. Those guys are good people.
Nobody is fucking writing up horsemen for not shining their shoes. Get the fuck out of here.
Lies. So many lies.
Yes, that's the new name of your show.
But here's a visual victory for the truth. Now, it happened some time ago. You know Glenn Beck, right?
Unfortunately.
Amazing truth teller.
What are you talking about? The time he talked about his colonoscopy and its failure and his weird butt infection?
He told too much truth at one point for Fox News. They jettisoned him.
Is that what? And you were like, I don't even want to work there. They offered me some money, but I was like,
for that. But he's great, and
he's an idiot.
He went on the road. This is a couple of years ago, but he would make public appearances, and it would drive the left wild because they hated hearing the truth. And this guy confronts them. Watch what happens.
You will be the last to find out you've been duped. Enjoy yourself. You don't even know why you're here.
So he's talking to the
That's Andrew Breitbart.
Beck protesters. And
so what?
He brings it right to this one guy. Listen to this.
How much are you getting paid?
We know very well
How much are you getting paid? You here for?
I am here to stop the hate that Glenn Beck is promulgating.
Like what? One thing that he said that's hateful. One thing that he said that's hateful. One, not 100. One.
I'm not going to fall into your trap.
One. It's a trap. Truth is a trap.
The truth is a trap. Yes, for those guys, for those evildoers, the lie.
Also, by the way, for the record, in all deference to those protesters who were there, because I don't know what drove them on that particular circumstance to like protest Glenn Beck. Quite frankly, I would argue that Glenn Beck would pay protesters, more likely that he would pay protesters to show up to make him look like an edgelord when he's really just like an aging marshmallow. But I would be hard pressed to find anything that he says that's any more than just fucking silly or ridiculous. But I think the obvious, the two big things that would stand out to me if anybody was having an issue with him would be that his odd attachment to sort of globalist establishment that sounds a lot like a Jewish dog whistle, that the globalists like the George Soroses of the world are doing behind the scenes. That kind of running theme and all of his stuff. But the other one is just the fear mongering. I don't consider him a hate merchant the way, you know, say Ann Coulter was, or slash is. I don't even know what the fuck she does on her Substack anymore, or Tucker Carlson is. He's a doom sprayer. That's Glenn's entire shtick. He's just pushing the whole fucking end times nonsense.
The truth is something of a trap. Next.
He should not be allowed to take that from us. Why is he a coward? Why is he a coward? Why is he a coward? Your sign says back to...
I think he's a coward because you're out here defending him, not him. There are cops there. There's a whole line here. Why can't he come out and defend himself? Or, what are you, his agent?
He's a coward. Why is he a coward? Because why is he a coward?
He stands there on his.
I'm asking him. That's what he says.
He stands in his TV show. It just, you know what?
Why is he a coward? Your sign has a very clear statement. Why? SEIU. Who here is from SEIU? Dave, do you remember when SEIU beat up Kenneth Gladney, the black man?
You see?
That's yes. When the service union beat up a black man. Remember that? Why won't you? Where are you guys now?
Going away.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing that offends Breitbart is these people waving American flags.
They're retreating. They can't handle the truth. They literally can't handle the truth.
Again, what the fuck? Why are you? Here's what stands out to me in this more than anything else is that Greg Kelly is running interference using an old clip for Glenn Beck of Andrew Breitbart running interference for Glenn Beck. Again, it's pretty simple here. Glenn Beck is a doom sprayer. He's selling panic and horror and vilifying other human beings, namely Democrats, as this like creeping communism and this violent attack on everything liberty, and therefore they're going to round you up. And he's trying to be kind of like the cross between the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Alex Jones. And he's a coward because he needs Andrew Breitbart, or needed at the time, Breitbart's dead, and Greg Kelly to like lock arms and protect him from anybody who doesn't like his shit.
Jack Nicholson, great line. And wow, I love it when the truth wins, and it's winning. I feel it. Don't you? We'll be right back.
Yeah, I totally feel it. I feel it, Greg. You're making me feel it. We're all feeling it. What a rambly pile of shit. I have to say, lately, is it just me, or does the right-wing media look like it's desperately in search of a talking point? Like I think the dopamine rush from their, the kind of anti-trans stuff, or women are gonna do this, or women want to abort a baby when they're in their teens. The baby is in its teens. Like all the horror tale, like and clearly, obviously, the Biden being bought out by China thing isn't working. There's no evidence that they can point to. So I feel like they're just kind of, it's like they've got a blindfold on and they're swinging at the lie pinata, hoping they can connect. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like lately. It feels like they're lost in this sea of dead talking points. You're not feeling it, though? Some of the folks are not feeling it. They're not feeling the Glenn Beckiness. Yeah, the fail game is very strong. Culture war needs train loads of ammunition. I agree. I think they're just, like, it's amazing to me. And we've been looking at this stuff, and, like, I literally saw one clip come up, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's a new thing in the Hunter Biden story that they're jumping on. And let's see. Besides just kind of just trolly bullshit, I have to find this one because it was so odd. Because I'm out of time, but I wanted to. Where is it? Bungholia Biden scandal compared there. It was a. Who cares? And it's more stuff with this. Okay, yeah, here it is. This is Hunter Biden finally goes to court, is the name of this one. Just look at and this John Solomon, the guy who's been pushing the whole fucking, laptop bullshit. Well, that's pretty fucking definitive, I think. Hunter Biden finally goes to court. Oh, shit. They got him. Gorka has him. And Gorka. And I'm like, oh, shit, this might be something. In the description right now, Sebastian Gorka talks to Just the News founder John Solomon about his new children's book, as well as his prediction that Hunter Biden could finally be indicted for tax-related crimes. And by the way, the court thing was, I believe, over child custody stuff. Gorka. That's how bad it is. This motherfucker's selling a children's book, and he's like predicting when good Lord. Gorka.